Hey guys, so well, as you see, the sun is out finally and all of the ice is starting to melt. That's what all this is, ice and sleet. It looks like it's snow, but it's not snow. Okay, so this video is going to be on how to store your chainsaw for the winter. So without further ado, we'll get started. So just like on winterizing your string trimmer, leaf blower, or hedge trimmer, it's just empty out your gas tank, and also as well as just push the primer bulb to get any of the remaining gas out of the fuel lines in the carburetor. Now if you're running one of these premix fuels, like either VP small engine fuels or True Fuel, you don't have to worry about doing any winterizing. You can actually just leave the fuel in your saw for the entire winter, and then when you get it out in the spring, surely enough, it'll just start right up. And I am running this particular fuel in this saw, but just for the sake of the video, I'm just gonna make the video on how to winterize a chainsaw. Alright, so just take your fuel cap off completely. Set that aside. And also make sure you have a funnel up on your fuel can. And just dump all that gas out. Okay, so there wasn't that much gas in it. So, while I got the saw tilted down like this, I'm going to push on the primer bulb just to get any of the remaining gas out of the carburetor. And as you see, as I'm pushing on the primer bulb, more gas is coming out. Just keep on pushing on the primer bulb until there's no more fuel. Alright, so no more gas is coming out. Okay, now just insert your fuel cap back in. Okay, so now what we're going to try to do is actually try to start the saw, just in case if there would still be any remaining gas in the carburetor. So we'll just do a typical cold start. All right. Alright, so just keep on doing this until it won't fire anymore. Okay, so now that you got the fuel system all flushed out, so now take your air cleaner cover off. Just so we can get access to the spark plug, which the spark plug is right here. So we'll need to remove it to fog the engine. This engine is still warm since I just used this thing earlier, so I'm going to let this thing cool off before I take this plug off. Alright, so once you have let your engine cool off for a little bit, you can go ahead and just take your spark plug out. Use either a 3/4 inch deep socket, or use one of these tools that will come with your chainsaw. Just take your plug off. Also, while you have your plug off, you can also check it. This plug is not too bad, a little bit dark, but it ain't too bad. So this plug, however, is an NGK BPM 8Y. If it was much darker than this, then I probably would replace it. So the reason why I have the spark plug out is we'll need to fog the engine. And so to fog the engine, I'm using Deep Creep, which is made by Seafoam. It's a multi-use penetrating lubricant, which it's actually Seafoam in an aerosol can. Actually, you could also use WD-40 as well to fog the engine. Sometimes before I start putting some fog oil into the engine, I usually like to pull the engine, head the piston downwards a little bit. Okay. And then I'm going to spray the Deep Creep into the cylinder, hold it for about maybe 3 to 4 seconds. Okay. And so now don't put your spark plug back in it right away, because otherwise the engine will sort of be hydrolocked a little bit. Now we want to slowly just rotate the engine. Don't pull it over fast, because otherwise the stuff will shoot out of this spark plug hole. So you want to do it nice and slowly. You can just slowly pull it over several times, just so that way it'll help. It'll coat the cylinder, the piston, and the rings. Keep it all lubricated, just to help prevent any moisture buildup, or even also prevent your engine from seizing a little bit from when you let this thing sit for a long time in the winter, especially for you people that live up in the north when it gets really, really cold. But since here in Texas it ain't really necessary to do all of this. Okay, so that's good enough. And also, before I put the spark plug back in, I like to also make sure to have the piston at almost top dead center, just to help protect the cylinder. Okay, so now you can just put your spark plug back in. Just hand tighten it. Then now just snug it, and don't over tighten it, because you could strip the threads on the cylinder. So just snug. And that's good enough. Now put your boot back on. Alright, and then don't start the engine. And then now just put your air cleaner cover back on. And then next, what we're going to do, what I like to do is empty out your bar and chain oil, because chainsaws do tend to leak oil when they do sit for a long time, and makes a mess in the floor of either your storage building or garage. So it's usually best, if you plan not to use your chainsaw for a long time, is also empty out all of your bar and chain oil. Okay. First, I'm going to just wipe off a little bit of dirt off of here before I get this cap off. Okay. Now you can go ahead and just remove your oil cap. Get it completely off the saw. Okay, and then just set your cap aside. Okay. Insert your funnel into your container of bar and chain oil. And then now we'll empty out the oil tank. Yeah, there's not much oil in this saw. Okay, I think that's good enough. So now I'll just grab my oil cap, just insert it back in. And then just screw your cap back on. And then finally, what I like to do is I like to just clean up my saw. So just by doing that, I'm going to take the bar and chain off. Just clean it all up real good. I don't know how well y'all can see that. Can y'all see that? Okay. Hold on a second so y'all can see me. There we go. So just take the bar and chain off just by taking these two nuts off. Okay. Okay, so you'll be able to just get your clutch cover off. This is a little bit dirty, but not too bad. And then now, just simply pull your bar and chain off. Just slip the bar back to help bring some slack on the chain. If you are a little bit concerned about doing all this on your or working on your chainsaw, you can wear gloves, just so that way you won't cut yourself. Okay, so we got the bar and chain off. So I'll usually just like to clean off all the sawdust and the clippings, and then after that we'll just put it all back on. And the best way to just clean up all of this is with an air compressor. So you just take your blowgun on your compressor, just blow all of this, and also as well as your clutch cover, and also into your bar as well. And also stick your blowgun down through here on your bar. Now on some chainsaws, their bars will have a tiny small hole right here. Sometimes when you use your chainsaw, they do tend to clog up. It's important that they should not be clogged up, because if they're clogged up, your bar and chain won't be getting its proper lubrication, and that can do some damage to your bar and chain, and you would have to replace your bar and chain. Now I have done a video in the past before on how to clean up all of this, so I'm not going to film myself cleaning all this up. Now when you do clean up all of this, make sure that you do wear safety glasses, because all of this stuff can go into your face and possibly go right into your eyes, and that probably won't feel too good on your eyes. And so I'll get back with y'all once all of this is clean. Alright, so now that you got everything all cleaned up, you can go ahead and just get your saw put back together. Alright, so we'll start out with putting the bar on. And I'll grab the chain, and let me give you all a close look. Put the camera macro for a second. Okay, so when you put your chain on, make sure that these teeth are facing forward. If you put it on backwards, then otherwise, if you try to cut something, your chainsaw won't work properly, or it won't even cut the wood at all. So make sure they're pointing forwards. Okay, my chain's a little bit all tangled up here. Try to get this all untangled here without cutting myself. And again, if you are a little bit worried if you're going to cut yourself while working on your chainsaw, you can always wear gloves. I'm really all tangled up here, so hang on a second. Alright, so I finally got her untangled, and we'll just wrap our chain just around back here. And again, make sure them teeth are pointing forward. Now they do have arrows that way to show you. Okay, and we just got to try to get the chain all wrapped up onto the bar. Alright, so hang on a second. Alright, so now got the bar and chain all put together, so now we'll get our clutch cover on. Now before we do, you see here on the clutch cover, this little thing right here has to go into this hole here on the bar. So we'll get her on and make sure that it does line up on there. And also make sure that these holes here are lined up with those too. Okay, so we're not quite all lined up, so that little thing there is not quite lined up. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take our chain tension, this screw here is where to adjust the tension on the chain, so I'm going to turn it out until it'll be able to go in, and just like that. And then now we'll just take our 1/2 inch nuts. Okay, so once you get the nuts just put on by hand, now just take your tool here. We're only going to just have them snugged on there, so don't tighten them all the way just yet, because we will need to check the tension on the chain just to see if we would need to do any adjustments on it, like if it would be either too tight or too loose. Okay, so I'll set the saw down, and as you can see there, that chain is very, very loose. So we're going to need to adjust the chain. Okay, these are, I'm going to put these on all the way just for now. I'm going to now just partially loosen them a little bit so that way we can adjust the chain. Just loosen them a little bit. So on tightening the chain, okay, so here's the chain tensioning screw. Now on some other chainsaws, their chain tensioning screws will be right here. So on this one, what we're going to need to do is, right now I'm going to just turn this screw in. You turn it in to make the chain tighter and turn it out to make it loose. So in this case, sorry about that, that was the compressor. So as I was saying, since this chain's really loose, we'll need to turn the screw in. Okay, now you can see it's starting to get a little bit tighter. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift up the bar and do its final tightening. Okay, so now you can try and just move your chain freely. Alright, so just to be safe here, I decided to put on some gloves. Now you want to check, make sure the chain is moving all freely. Okay, this one seems to be just fine. So now what we'll do is we'll tighten these all the way, and while you do that, just hold your bar up. Okay, whenever you tighten up the bar nuts, make sure you tighten them evenly. Okay, that one's good and tight. That one's tight too. And then just once again, just check your chain, make sure it's still moving all nice and freely. And if necessary, if you need to do some readjustments, just repeat the whole process. And so this chainsaw has now been winterized now. And so that's how you winterize a chainsaw. So hope y'all enjoyed this video. So thanks for watching.